Hello, it's March 2022, and I'm going to be talking about a topic that could be deemed sensitive, definitely could be taken out of context if the meaning is missed. And this topic is for everyone, including myself. And that's addressing the question, when does helping someone stop? Personally, I adopt when I can, helping someone to its completion, to the point where they can move forward on their own. Because stopping prior to that simply leaves that person at the same point where the help began. Now, I'm going to quickly use the analogy of saving someone from a burning building or a tsunami, for example, and rescuing them 9/10 of the way and then leaving them. Their fate is still at the point where the rescue began. So asking that question, when does helping someone stop, is really that person or people trying to justify stop helping someone for whatever reason, which is fine. But people forget perhaps how fortunate their lives are, or the extensive help they got to survive and prosper in their lives. Now, circumstances do play a role in, for example, the person offering help and the individual that's being helped. And I'm going to use an example of mine, and I can only speak for myself, and I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but for example, over the years when I've helped or tried to help homeless people as best as I could, sometimes just offering an ear to giving away a free meal that was donated to me, and I interact with them and try to do the best I can at that time, because I don't, for example, I might not see that person for weeks, maybe even a month, sometimes never again. So I see my helping them at that time to its completion as best as I can. And if I'm fortunate enough to run into them, every, say, few weeks if I'm lucky, then I continue to offer the support, or even more that I'm able to afford through donations and stuff. So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to circumstances of the individual and so forth. Now, I'm going to draw two parallels, one with what's happening in the Eastern Bloc with Russia and Ukraine. And what we see happening there is we have the parent company, Russia, that had, even after the Ukraine became its own country, and there's air quotes with that, Russia had helped them, subsidized them, given them everything, even all their military equipment, everything was provided by the parent company. And for whatever reason, that's a different tangent in itself, they decided to be very disrespectful and forget about all the benefits that the parent company has given them. And we can even see this, for example, with children to their parents, forgetting about the help that was given and being disrespectful, and tables are turned, where a parent or parents fail to see that a child may have helped them or offered help. Anyway, that's a different tangent. As this relates to my personal story, and I'm going to, for a moment, keep focusing on the tune of being disrespectful. Over the years since my case began, even prior to the case began, when all this took place, let's just go back to December of 2012. There was no respect given to me. No one talked to me. And obviously on May 4th, 2013, you couldn't be any more disrespectful to what they did to me. And then over the years, with the courts and everyone involved, never respected me. And moreover, no one offered to help me based on their wrongdoings imposed on me. And a big part of this could be that they simply believed the false narratives that were being said about myself or the case in overall based on their limited knowledge base. They made the assumption. Now, people making conclusions based on their knowledge base, whatever degree that may be, can have counterproductive results because they may think that, I'm going to use the old term, tough love. They think that's what they're doing, but really they're being counterproductive. They're doing more harm with their tactics, what they say and what they do. And they won't see any differently. And we see this with my case. We see this with what's happening in the Eastern Bloc. We see this with social justice movements. We see this everywhere. People are convinced themselves. And this ties in with the studies made famous by Julia Shaw, who I've highlighted extensively over the years. Now, this segues into one thing I've noticed over the years is how people treat me differently. For example, when I'm in my grubby clothes that you see what I'm wearing now, sometimes torn and ripped, dirty, whatever, and I can go into grab supplies, say at a wholesale supermarket, like a cheap supermarket, and how people will even, maybe they don't even interact with me, but they just treat me differently than, for example, when I'm showered in my good clothes. And I've noticed that a lot because people are making conclusions. And even, for example, when I'm dressed in my good clothes and showered and clean, and I randomly just talk to people, say at Tim Hortons parking lot, well, you know, they're in the parking lot as well, we just start talking, and they will treat me one way. And if the topic of my situation comes up, being destitute and partly disabled and whatever, even if I can tell my story a little bit, they change. Their whole attitude towards me changes, and I've noticed that over the years because people are making conclusions based on their limited knowledge base without knowing the whole story or even caring about the whole story. And that's another thing that I've noticed. Most people don't care about anyone else's story, for the most part, generally speaking. Now, this leads into the topic that I've noticed since back in 2013 when I was reaching out for help as a male, how there's little to no help for males in society or with even governing bodies. They say they are, but there isn't. Because of the feminist narrative, there's endless help without question for women. And we see this double standard really large. And I've done plenty of videos on that over the years. And even to now, being a single male, there's really not much approaching churches, even just to talk. They don't want to talk. And I've done videos about this as well. Not a diss towards churches or anything else. It's just, you know, over the years I've tried to explore many different avenues. And I've tried to even help myself over the years, trying to find work, obtaining it, not even lasting half a day because it's too physical for me, with my limits. And yeah, it's terrible. And that's, as I said, I've done videos on that, just that topic alone over the years. And it's interesting how society will see a man who needs help, who can't get up, move forward on his own, as weak. They don't look at it as the fact that man is still pushing forward despite, for example, any physical, psychological, or circumstantial obstacles that they're dealing with. But I digress. So ultimately, it all depends on when someone decides to want to stop helping someone. And there's no right or wrong answer to that. The question, when does helping someone stop? again, there's physical, psychological, and circumstantial things that I consider when I decide to engage someone with helping them as best as I can. And believe it or not, there were times in my life, or was a time in my life, where life was great. I had more than an abundance. And yes, I helped. And I even went for like 10 years volunteering with food drives and everything else, and delivering food and things to people. So, and I never even, that question never even popped into my head, when does it stop? And there was even people that, on my own, like, I'm trying to think of a descriptive, I want to say that I adopted them. You know, I would know that they were in a situation and nobody knows, or nobody knew, and I would get them groceries. Sometimes I would go to or call in to a pizza place and have pizza and wings and things delivered to them. Try to help. And as long as it until there's one example that I'm thinking about, they moved away, so I kind of lost touch with them, or I would have probably continued helping them. So it is what it is, and I'm very thankful to everyone over the years who have helped, even people who I've just met one time and they offered whatever they offered, and never seen or heard from them again. And some people that were endured longer with my troubles. And I've, over the years, I'm sure you can ask anybody that I've ever interacted with, I've always said I hate being a burden on other people, and I do. I do not like asking for help. I like helping people, and I like to see the joy on people's faces, and the times where they've been able to succeed, whatever their situation in this life. That made me feel good because they felt good. I felt good because they felt good and they were moving forward. And I think about, just as I'm talking now, of the homeless guy at the gas station that I've recently talked about and I mentioned. Haven't ever seen him again. But I remember when I first met him, he was sitting by some garbage cans, dumpster diving, and gave him some time, bought him a meal. And anytime that I seen him after, gave him time. If I could, buy him a meal, or sometimes I'd just buy him a coffee and talk to him. The fact that I haven't seen him anytime that I've been there again is good, because the last couple of times actually I talked to him, he was saving up his money to get a room. So not seeing him tells me that he succeeded. But I never knew if I would ever see him again after each time I did see him. So helping someone, even the idea of helping someone or not, that's totally on the individual. But I'm thankful for everyone's help, and I'm very respectful regardless of anyone's opinions, beliefs, theories, biases, wants, whatever. I am very thankful and very respectful. So that's all I really want to say about this, and thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.